I'm Natalie Payton Newman, taking on this episode solo. Today, I'm honored to welcome a friend and mentor to Uncharted, your sidekick for life, Shawn Livingston, host of I Am Redemption. In this deeply vulnerable conversation, Shawn shares his full story, from aspiring WWE wrestler and high school basketballer to turbulent years in military service, addiction, multiple felonies, and legal battles. But ultimately, he reveals how recovery, ultra running, and community lifted him out of despair and forged a new life of purpose. Strap in. This episode is raw, powerful, and redemptive. I'm Natalie Payton Newman. I'm an actor, comedian, and podcast person, Natalie. And today I'm here with Shawn Livingston, the host of the I Am Redemption podcast. So thank you for being here.
Of course. Thank you. It's an honor. Appreciate you much.
Yeah, absolutely. We can just dive right in.
Let's do it.
One of the questions we love to ask our guests is, when you were 15 years old, let's back up. What did you want to be when you grew up?
When I was 15, I think a WWE wrestler.
Yeah?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
I love that.
That was like my first dream ever. I remember being in second grade and I had back then it was WWF.
Yeah.
And
I remember that. I used to go to the WWF thing.
Oh, let's go.
Yeah.
So I had a little WWF magazine in my lap. And I remember my mom was, she was getting her doctorate degree from Ohio State. So it was a lot of late nights, me at the babysitters.
Yeah.
And it was early one morning and I looked up at her in the car and I was like, Mom, can I be a wrestler when I grow up? And she goes, honey, as long as you go to college, you can be whatever you want.
Aww.
And I was like, she said yes. She said yes.
Didn't listen to the college part. You're like, yes, I can go.
Right.
That's so cool.
Yep.
Are you an only child or you have siblings?
Yes and no. So between my mother and father, I'm the only child. My dad left when I was 2, but then my mom remarried, my father remarried. They both had kids, so I definitely have brothers and sisters.
Cool. Cool. Do you have a relationship with them?
Yeah, all of them.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you wanted to be a WWE fighter. So then what happened? You are going through high school. Were you a popular kid in school?
No, I wouldn't. I mean, we'll say middle class.
Because you're a leader. I see you, I look at you, and I'm a part of your community, the Redemption crew, and you are a leader. Is that how you always were? Did you grow into that?
I grew into that,
Okay.
I think. I think it was always in there, but just, I don't want to speak in generalities, but for me, myself, just dealing with tremendous amounts of insecurity and not knowing who I was.
Right.
A lot of my whole identity as a young person was tied in with basketball.
Cool.
Basketball was kind of when I centered my life around. I had aspirations. I wanted to play college ball. I thought I was going to be a professional athlete.
Mm-hmm.
I neglected the fact that I'm white and I can't jump.
White men can't jump.
It's just a thing, at least in my case.
It's just a film.
Some of them can. So I threw all my eggs into that basket, and grade school, high school, I ended up going to a private high school to play specifically to play basketball with the intent on winning state. Got in a bad car accident my junior year. I hit a tree with no seatbelt on. Got a litany of injuries, and that was kind of the end of my basketball career.
Yeah. And
so that's kind of where I can take a step back now and look and see that's where my life turned left.
Wow.
And so that's where, my dad ended up leaving when I was 2. And so there was just a lot of attention-seeking behavior, wanting to be noticed. You could tell by the way I dressed, the way I talked. So I think I was always trying to be the cool kid.
Right.
Maybe if I just let it happen, it would have just happened. You know what I mean? But you want that validation and all that kind of stuff. And so when basketball was no longer in the picture, that's kind of when I started gravitating towards the party crowd. You're just easily accepted there. Everybody's having fun.
Right.
Bunch of girls over there. Let's do that.
Right.
And so then, got involved with that, and don't think, I was not an addict starting off. I, partied like most kids, I think.
Right.
And then didn't really see hard drugs or alcohol or anything like that until I ended up getting out of school.
Mm-hmm.
But 9/11 happened. And I tried one illustrious career, or my illustrious college career lasted one semester.
Okay.
I went to school for one semester. About a weekend, I realized the teachers didn't care if you were there or not.
Yeah.
And so I just stopped showing up. But then 9/11 happened, and I knew I wasn't going anywhere quick or fast, and that just seemed to be the calling. And so I joined the Air Force right after 9/11. Would be in the Air Force for about 6 years, traveled around, got stationed over in Germany.
Cool.
And throughout that whole time...
Bangladesh, or what was your base called?
I was at Ramstein and
Ramstein.
Ramstein and Rhein-Main.
Okay. My dad was at Ramstein.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah. In Vogelway for a little bit. We'd bounce around a little bit wherever the planes went.
Yeah.
But being over there, I did not realize how good I had it. Like, I'm in
Wow.
Germany, I'm seeing the world.
Right.
But I'm sitting there thinking I'm worried about what everybody's doing back in Youngstown, Ohio, and like I'm missing all these cool things.
Right.
And so I remember getting out of the Air Force just because I did not have the life experience to understand how good I had it. And then I go back to Youngstown and Oxycontin had just like leveled the area.
Mm-hmm.
And so I piddled around there and started hanging out with the party crowd again, started messing around a little bit. And then I did the thing where it's like, I'm not the problem, the area is the problem.
Right.
And so for the next 2 years, I bounced around to 5 different states, basically started burning it down everywhere I went.
Yeah.
And then, stuff really started to get a hold of me at that point. But then I hopped back into the Army. Couldn't get back into the Air Force.
Okay.
So they weren't accepting prior service. So then joined up with the Army. And then
that was a smart decision, don't you think?
I think my heart was in the right place, but I wasn't probably, you know what I mean? I wasn't on the right track yet.
Sure.
I was just looking for my next way.
Yeah.
How's this going to get me out of trouble?
You were surviving.
Right.
Yeah.
And anybody in recovery goes, you know what I mean? Like, if we're the problem, no matter where we go, we're still there.
Right. Yeah,
And
exactly.
So I was in the Army. It kept me structured there for a little bit, but I ended up, soon as I got in the Army, we did some getting requalified on weapons and physical training, all that stuff. And then I got stationed in Texas.
Okay.
When I got stationed in Texas at Fort Hood, we immediately came down on orders to go to Iraq.
Ugh.
And so we immediately started training to go over there. And then I got a back injury. I herniated 2 discs in my lower back, bone to bone, pinching my sciatic nerve. And so their answer at the time was big bottles of painkillers and steroid injections.
Yeah.
And so that was just dumping fuel on the fire. And so it was off to the races again.
Yeah. So before joining the Army again, did you have moments of sobriety?
Not really.
Because like if you don't have it, you're going to be sick. Like if you don't have the opioids, once your body is chemically dependent on them, like divorcing the conversation of addiction, but physical dependency is a real thing. Yeah. So how did you fuel that? How did you stay high? Not high, but how did you stay not sick?
I think at that time it was just a lot of partying.
Okay.
And so it might be ecstasy, it might be coke, if you're
Right.
drinking, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Pills, if I could get a hold of them, but there was no like steady flow of any one drug.
Which probably helped the physical dependency.
I do remember the transition of like coke kind of became my first drug.
Yeah.
And I was having fun doing that, but then coke quickly became miserable for me because I don't have an off switch.
Right.
And so you can only see the sun come up and hear the birds start chirping so many times before you're like, it's the most beautiful sound to regular people, but to somebody on cocaine, that is the worst sound and feeling ever.
Yeah.
And then I remember the first time I did oxys, that's where I got that like, oh, I feel like me now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
that euphoria.
I can go to sleep, I can talk to people, I don't got bloody tissues at the end of the night.
Right.
Like, this is great.
Yeah.
And so that's where it kind of started. I knew I had kind of found my drug.
Mm-hmm.
It just hadn't quite got a hold of me all the way yet.
Gotcha. And so then circumstantially, the injury opened up the door for more painkillers.
Yeah.
And how was that regulated in the...
Very sneakily.
Okay.
Very, very. I mean, it's definitely not a glorious story. Like grown man in the military walking around with urine strapped to my body at all the times to make sure I can pass a piss test.
Yeah.
And all that. And so it was my stint in the Army was not a glorious one. I was not a war hero anyway. We deployed. Thank God I didn't get myself or somebody else killed. But we did what we had to do. It ended up being worse on my back, everything like that. And then when we came back, that's kind of where everything starts to go bad. You hear a lot of people or places talk about PTSD.
Yeah.
And so the way I always try to liken it to people is when you're in the military, and at least for me, and you're over somewhere like Iraq, Afghanistan, any of these places, you understand why you're there. And you're there for a deeper reason than what the news is talking about.
Right.
Like, you have now bonded with these people. They're your brothers, sisters, they're your family. And so that's the true reason of why you're over there, who you're fighting for, who you're ready to give up your life for, and all that. And so I forget where I was going with this.
PTSD.
Oh.
But can I interrupt before
Please.
you go there? And this might be a really lame question, but in the Middle East, the Western world hears about like easier access to poppy fields and opium and stuff. Was that true?
That I've heard that in Afghanistan.
In Afghanistan, okay.
Iraq,
Not so much Iraq.
Iraq was not like that.
Okay, so you weren't able to like stay high while you were over there.
No, and I don't know many. I haven't ever heard many stories of soldiers being able to like. It's not like they could just run out to the poppy fields and pick a little bit of dope.
Right.
I don't think.
Right. I have heard stories of smugglers, like military smugglers.
Yeah.
And in that case, that's a different story. But okay, let's go back to the PTSD though. So we all hear about soldiers, infantry, whatever you call it, officers come back and they experience PTSD, and we also hear that they're not really given the support that's needed. So what's your take on that?
Yeah, I definitely don't know the answer to it all. All I know is what I noticed and saw. And you kind of look, you take a group of people, we're all bonded and everything like that. You put us over in an extreme situation. Soldiers are running missions in and outside of the wire. You're constantly taking your adrenaline and getting it all pumped up. You're also making really good money we'll say really good money, but you're making hazardous duty pay over there. There's nowhere to spend your money, especially if you're a single soldier.
Right.
So you're sitting there racking up all this money that you're not normally used to having.
Okay.
Most people in the military live paycheck to paycheck. Most guys, you get paid on the 1st and the 15th. Most single guys or single girls will blow their money the first couple days, first week, and then they eat at the chow hall. They stay in the barracks, and there's not a whole lot as far as like invest your money, save your money.
There's no financial literacy being taught anywhere.
No, none of that. At least I didn't see it. So you have all this, then you come back to the States. You get back to the States, you get released back in, you get 2 weeks of leave, you have all this money in your bank account.
Right.
And you're used to a life where you've been jacking your adrenaline up.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I always try to shine a light on that I don't think people understand, and this is just me being honest,
please.
The military does not exactly attract the cream of the crop, we'll say, right? Like your 4.0 student is going to college.
Right.
A lot of the people you get in the military are coming from broken homes, trauma, dealing with issues.
Trying to get out of a felony.
Right. And the military and the structure and everything that they teach you is an absolute recipe for success if you know how to apply that and keep that and everything like that. But we're not factoring in childhood traumas and a lot of what other people have been through. So you take all that, you put people over there in this extreme situation, they go through all these things, you release them back into the wild when we come home, and people just kind of went, that's where you started to see manifestations, I'd say, of PTSD.
Wow, that I've never heard it put that way before, Shawn. And it makes so much sense. People with trauma go do and see more traumatic things, come back, don't know where to put all that energy or feeling
And so we came back, and within a very short amount of time, I tattooed with him right here, my squad leader. He was my direct supervisor. If I was to tell you and anybody listening, like if I was going to give you the definition of what an American soldier was, I'd show you him. I'd show you a picture of him. He was everything I wanted to be in a man, a leader, a soldier, everything. Through deployment and everything, he and I had become pretty cool, like pretty good friends and all that. So we had just come back, and we were texting one night, and we were going to see each other tomorrow morning at the morning formation.
Yeah.
And I showed up to formation that next morning, and he wasn't anywhere to be found. A little bit after that, we found out that he, for whatever reason, ended up emptying a clip on his wife and then turned the gun on himself with both of his small children in the house.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
There was said that there was infidelity, that there was drugs and alcohol involved, which I have to believe. But the one thing I want to impress upon everybody is like, that is so uncharacteristic for a man like this. Like, I'd give my life for that man still to this day.
Right.
Like, I can't see that happening. It obviously did. It's horrible. It's horrific. I can't even still wrap my head around a man like him doing something like that.
Right.
My other best friend, he went home on leave to visit his mom in Alabama. They found him passed out in the kitchen. Laying next to him was his mom, who was dead from blunt force trauma to the head. Pills and alcohol, got messed up, killed his mom in an accident. He's doing life in prison.
Really?
And then my other best friend, Corey, he had multiple deployments under his belt, both to Iraq and Afghanistan. And I think the way I look at it is I think he hung around me so much and saw me do drugs so many times that he just became desensitized to it. And he didn't have the education that I don't think I did in drugs.
Right.
And so he ended up getting stationed in another base shortly after we got back, and didn't know he couldn't mix Xanax and opiates. Laid down, took a nap, never woke up.
Yeah.
And so we come back, and now I've lost 3 of the closest people to me in the world.
Right.
I have this opiate addiction still going on. I have a bank account full of money, and so I'm just off to the races at this point, trying to numb the pain and deal with it however I could.
How did you choose life? Like, I know you weren't really choosing life and that you were in active addiction, but like, you're talking to me right now.
Yeah.
How did you not unlife yourself?
I have no idea.
Yeah. Was that ever on the table?
I didn't run into real thoughts of that until sobriety, probably about a year ago.
Wow.
I just hit a lull.
Yeah.
And I think that was very much the people I was choosing to surround myself with.
Sure.
Not that they weren't good people. I just think it was a lot of comfortable people that were comfortable where they were at in their life.
Yeah.
And I'm still very much somebody that I have aspirations to do a lot more and to go much higher.
You're the definition of growth mindset.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's true. And it happens.
Yeah.
When we are growing and the people around us are seeing it and starting to feel uncomfortable, I'm getting chills talking about it. They're uncomfortable and it's hard for them to see. And yet there's a tinge of, I want to know what that's about, what they're up to. But instead, I'm going to judge it. And so I've lost friends through my personal growth. It's a real thing. And it's sad, but it's never going to make me stop dimming my light or choosing to grow and stretch my brain and neuroplasticity so that I can be the best version of myself, so that I can be of maximum service to others.
Right.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's exactly like what you're saying. Like, I don't know, it just became very apparent to me when I was going through this mental health dip. Like I have so many things in my life to be so blessed for, so to be excited about.
Yeah.
But I was just around people that weren't like that. And then as soon as I got around people that were hungry for more, wanting more, it was like I came alive again. It was like, oh, this is what I've been missing.
Wow.
Like I want to be around people that make me feel uncomfortable because it makes me feel like I have to level up.
Yes.
And a big thing for me was not knowing that I had the capability to do these things.
Yeah.
And getting sober, getting involved with running, starting to accomplish some of these things. And then the more that I realized that I lean into being vulnerable, sharing my experience, talking about the hard things that most everybody doesn't talk about because they think there's a stigma, they think they're going to be judged. You know what I mean? They're so worried about what everyone else is going to think of them. Like when you just put that stuff to the side and you actually lead with that stuff, people admire that stuff.
Yeah.
They want to be like that. They look up to that and they start doing it themselves.
Right.
And so that's where you can really start. Where I started understanding that we have this very unique ability, especially coming from the recovery world, is we're so used to opening up and talking about our things that regular people are not.
They're not.
And so as soon as we start talking about ours, it opens the floodgates for them. And so like it just becomes more and more apparent to me where it's like, man, like for all these things I used to look down on myself or be ashamed of, these are the things that can help people, that help the people that I think are judging me for.
Right.
Which is bizarre.
Right. That is so true, Shawn. And I just experienced the same thing. Like, first of all, let me make a praise report that today, it's going to bring tears to my eyes. Today, I took my last antidepressant.
Thanks.
I have been titrating since December from 450 milligrams, and I took my last 20 milligram little sliver today. And I feel so empowered and I feel so proud of myself. And has it been an easy journey? No, like it hasn't been easy. But what it's allowed me to do is do this research, find what works for me, holistic remedies, and share it with people. So when I started talking about it online, I had floods of people from my past, from my bougie private school, reach out like, can you tell me what is working for you? And I was like, oh my God, I cannot believe I'm hearing from this person, that person, the other person. Yes. By the way, I made a PDF. Here it is. I called it Clearing the Fog, and it's helped people. I'm not selling it. I'm giving it because it's been a gift that I've been able to search and find these remedies for myself. But I am so proud of myself.
Oh, yeah.
And I recently got to hear David Goggins speak at the Aspire Tour. Our friend Anna invited me. And he said, if you are surrounded by people who are not making you uncomfortable, you need to like get them off your leg because they're like little yappy dogs that are going to pull you back down, or crabs that are going to pull you back down. You must be surrounding yourself with people that make you so uncomfortable to have to grow because they're pushing you so hard, because they're lifting you so hard, because they're showing you what's possible by their personal growth. And that's the type of people you need to be around.
Right.
And I can see that I'm hearing that was the shift for you to kind of continue to come into your own. So I'm curious, let's back up for the audience who doesn't know your story. You've lost all your friends, you're in the heart of addiction, and you're off to the races with the money and all of your talents, I'm sure, with finding your drug of choice. We all find those talents along the way. So then what happened? Like, what was your breaking point?
As soon as I got out of the military, I started getting in trouble with the law immediately.
Okay. Yeah.
Caught a DWI, took a bottle of Klonopin and shot up heroin right behind it.
Yeah.
Crashed
And
into
then
it.
drove.
Yeah, crashed into a parked car. The police found me just sitting on the curb waiting for them to show up.
Stop it.
I woke up in jail, had no idea why I was in there. Zero. That was probably one of the craziest things, sitting there like knocking on the cell door, like, why am I in here?
No.
Yeah, not knowing my truck. I don't know if I killed anybody, like any of that.
Oh, that had to be so terrifying.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I bonded out and got high immediately afterwards. So it was terrifying for that moment.
For a second until
and then caught two possession cases for heroin back to back. And so now I'm on bond in 3 counties. I'm running all around, still messing up. And so at the time I knew I wasn't up to no good. And so I ended up turning myself in and going and serving my time.
Wow.
I knew I couldn't do probation at the time, and that's kind of where I let people know that's what I consider my rock bottom. I was sitting in the penitentiary and my mom stopped picking up the phone.
Oh.
And so
you're like the love of your life, your mom.
When mom won't pick up the phone for you, like that's the last person on earth, and she won't pick up anymore, like that's where I knew it was time for a change. I still didn't change at that time, but that's where I knew like I got a serious problem. And so I ended up getting out and immediately started hanging around the same type of people, went back to the same girl I was with, fell back into the same habits immediately. And so eventually I would catch my 3rd and my 4th felony for heroin possession. And I used just through my time in the military, all the places I've lived, the people I hung out with, like I thought I was like this real tough guy.
Yeah.
And so I remember walking in front of a judge and he told me that he was going to charge me as a habitual criminal because I caught my 4th felony, same felony in Texas, and that he didn't see any reason to sentence me to under 20 years. And that right there was like the defining moment for me where like all the tough guy shit went right out of the window.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is not.
You like became immediately humble. Like, what can I do to fix this?
I mean, I thought it was just like this. It's over. Like I thought life was over. Like he said it. I'm going away for 20. That's what it is. And so I remember walking out of the court and looking at my lawyer, and I was like, hey man, do you think you can give me a little bit of time to at least try to get cleaned up before I go away?
Yeah.
Try to get on speaking terms with my family. And he said, if you can get into treatment, go ahead and check in.
Wow.
And so I went and I checked in and I did 8 months inpatient at the VA. I did every allowable day they would let me do. And through that process, I'm not a tremendously organized person, but I ended up keeping a folder for whatever reason. And any paperwork I did, any test I took, note I took went into this folder.
Wow.
And so I did my 8 months at the VA, and now it was coming around time where they have to schedule sentencing and all that. And so I ended up going back to my lawyer, and when I went to the lawyer, I brought my folder, and I just wanted to show him that, like, here's what I did with the time you got me.
Yeah.
And I slid him the folder, and he opened it, and his jaw dropped, and he looked, and he's like, I wasn't expecting this out of you. Like, you've given me something really to work with here.
Wow.
Let me go back to the judge and see what we could do. So he's like, whatever you're doing, I just need you to keep doing it. And so that again was like this other defining moment where it was like this sliver of hope. And it was the first hope that I could have felt or seen in as long as I can remember.
Wow.
And so I tried to go back to the VA. They told me I had done too much time at the VA. And so the only place that would take me was a state-funded place in Austin, Texas. And so it was a 6-month inpatient facility, and I jumped at it. It was like, let's do it.
Wow.
And through that time and then going in there, eventually I would go back to the lawyer for the sentencing, and they ended up giving me 10 years probation, which I discharged in 5. So
that's
Got it. It was pretty cool.
Oh my gosh. And at that point,
that was where I discovered running, and then everything went up from there.
Okay. Like, while I'm assuming you went to the place that starts with an A, which I can't think of, but I could be wrong, here in Austin. Okay. Well, at that point, you had already, and when you were in penitentiary, and it was in Texas, right?
Yes.
So you'd already been in prison where there's no AC in Texas prisons.
Correct.
That's a hard
It's
thing
not fun.
to deal with.
It's not fun.
That's inhumane. Like, let's just.
It's funny. The military surprisingly prepared me for prison life very well.
What?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, good to know.
You're in close quarters with a bunch of people from all different walks of life. Somebody's telling you when you can eat, go to sleep, where you know what I mean?
Yep.
Everything like that. So it wasn't your safety's at risk. Like,
Right.
it wasn't a huge jump.
Right. Okay, so that's what I'm saying is then you're in the VA, and it might not be cushy, but the VA here is gorgeous, in my opinion. When I go with my dad, I'm like, wow, this is beautiful facility.
Right.
So then that was more comfortable than prison, and then you're in a state-funded facility. Like, it didn't matter. Everybody thinks about rehabs, and they think about passages in Malibu, and like none of that stuff matters if you're not gonna get and stay clean and sober.
Right.
And a lot of the people that I sponsor are like wanting those places, and it's like, no, you just need to look at your spirituality that you're
Right.
experiencing. But the point is, tell me about being at this state facility and doing the thing. And at this point, you haven't had your sentence, right? So you're just like still working and doing what the judge said. Keep doing what you're doing. How does running come into your life? Please.
Let me pause real quick. What we were talking about, what you said was very important about you want to go to passages, you want to do this. What do you think the statistical success rate? This is the most staggering statistic I've ever heard in my life. What do you think the statistical success rate of somebody that goes to 30 days inpatient treatment, doesn't matter where, 30 days inpatient treatment, gets out, and then goes on about to live their life? What do you think the success rate is? And you come from the recovery world, so you're going to be closer than most.
Okay, I'm just going to throw a number out there. 50%? Not even close.
0.02.
Shut up.
0.02. That is the national statistical success rate for somebody that goes and does 30 days inpatient treatment and then leaves, no aftercare, anything like that. So that right there will tell you, like, if there's any treatment center on earth that's going to tell you they're going to cure you, they're going to save you, they're lying.
Yeah.
Like, that is not a thing.
Right.
They get you ready for the work that comes after. It doesn't matter if you go to passages, doesn't matter if you go here, there, the other place. I got sober in a state-funded treatment center that has blanket, same thing as any other state-funded treatment.
Right.
It's about what you want to get out of it, the people you surround yourself with, and like what you're willing to do after.
Yeah, okay.
But which is a good segue into, so I have this 8-month sobriety time at the VA. Then I go to this, I get my sliver of hope from the lawyer. And so when I entered into this treatment center, I had a completely different kind of outlook.
Okay.
Because now, for the first time, I was getting sober to get sober. I wasn't doing it to get out of trouble. Like, it was a foregone conclusion. I was out of trouble. And so now I had this hope, and I knew it was the last hope I was ever going to get. And so I hung on to it for dear life. And I literally started, one of the smartest things I did in my entire recovery journey was when I got there, I literally started breaking down every decision I made, asking myself 2 questions. And the way when I go speak and I describe it to people is I ask people to identify what their Super Bowl is. What is your most important goal that you're working towards in life? Now, if you talk to people in treatment, usually they'll be like, oh, to get sober, this or that. But is that the truth?
Right.
Are you there to get out of trouble? Are you there to make mom and dad happy? Or are you there so your wife doesn't leave you?
Yeah.
Like, what is truly your Super Bowl? At that time, my Super Bowl was staying out of prison and to get sober. And so everything I did, I would ask myself those 2 questions. If it didn't align, I didn't do it.
Tell us, the first question is, what's your Super Bowl?
Well,
sorry.
My 2 questions for, let's say I go into treatment.
Yeah.
It's a co-ed treatment center. You're in there.
Yeah.
Good looking girl like that.
Sure.
So I would have to ask myself and be like, all right, is me sitting here next to her and me going to talk to her, is that going to help me stay sober? Is that going to help me stay out of prison? No, don't do it.
Gotcha. Okay.
But it went for everything.
Wow.
So my MO my whole life is to hang around the funny guys.
I love that.
We're going to hang around the funny guys. We're going to talk a bunch of smack, and that's how I'm going to pass time. But then I had to start asking myself, like, I've been doing this my whole life.
Is it going to?
That's what's gotten me in these
sober.
So it started making me make the opposite decision.
Yeah.
And so I started doing that. And then I remember taking a look in the mirror one day, and I had the 8 month sobriety time up under my belt. And I looked in the mirror and I just hated who I saw. Through my injury, through addiction, I'd let myself go. I had a gut out to here. I felt like crap. I looked like crap. And it didn't matter how sober I was. I just did not like myself. And so I found out about a little running group that met in downtown Austin. I was never a runner growing up. If I was running without a basketball in my hand, I was in trouble for something. It was punishment.
Right.
And so I ended up getting special permission from the treatment center to go to this run group. It was in downtown Austin. They met at 5 a.m. And so I remember walking down there at 4:30, and I showed up to my first run. It was like 30 men and women, 5 a.m. And I showed up. My ego was big. Sure. And I was like, they don't got nothing for me. This can be easy. We ran 2 miles that day. There was not a step I took where my lungs were on absolute fire. I was still smoking a pack of Newports a day. I know you can feel what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
That's why I have the run group, because I know what it's like to have that.
Yeah.
And so
let me tell, because I am in Shawn's running group.
There we go.
And I, the first time, could not go 100 yards without needing to walk. Because I was weak, I was not running for so long, and every single week I've gotten better.
Now when you run, you're smiling, you're joking, you're laughing. Yeah. It's good stuff.
Because this group never leaves anybody behind, and they keep together as a community, and they uplift one another. And it's not about ego, it's about community, and it's about love and support and seeing it's human.
Right.
Y'all saw me.
Right.
You carried me through my antidepressant titration. Like, thank you.
Of course, of course.
Okay, so you were like, they ain't got nothing on me. Your lungs were on fire.
Yeah, I showed up, was dead last in that run that day. Was still smoking a pack of Newports a day. But I got done, and I just remember having this overwhelming sense of accomplishment. I was like, I did it.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to keep feeling that. So I kept coming back, and then 2 miles turned into 3 turned into 4. And then I got blessed and fell in with met a woman named Penny. She runs these things called ultra marathons. And so then I started asking her about that. Next thing I know, she has me out on the trail. She's teaching me all about that. And so at one point I had asked her to train me up for a race. So she trained me up for a 10K. And I went out and I did the 10K, and it's in the hill country in Austin, or in the hill country outside of Austin. And I got done, and again I'm feeling myself, and she just looked over at me and she's like, you could do more. And I was like, what do you mean? And she's like, you could run farther. She saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. And she knew how to poke me. Yeah. And so then I was like, all right, I'll run more. And so then my next race was a 30K. And she did it again. And then it was a 50K, then 100K. And right around 100K, it's 62 plus miles. And it was through rough, rugged terrain.
62 miles.
In Bandera, Texas. And I remember getting done with that. And that was like this big moment for me, because I'll speak for myself. I think we spend so many years in these rooms of therapy and AA or 12 steps and anything like that. And we introduce ourselves as the alcoholic, the addict, so many times. And I'm not saying anything wrong. And I know that's customs for the meetings we go to, and I'm down for
I have an issue with it, though, between you and
I feel that it's just been beat down into my psyche to where I was walking around as if that was my identity.
Yes.
And I remember running that 100K and looking around, and one of the big kicks I would get out of running and doing well in these races and placing and winning was the fact that I was doing this, and I had been doing this for less than a year. Wow. And I'm running against people that have been doing this their entire lives. They ran cross country in middle school, high school, marathons, all this stuff. And here I'm out here competing with them. And I was like, wait a minute, like, this is a lot better than what I've ever given myself credit for. Like, I'm a little bit more than a dope fiend. Yeah. And so
you're an athlete.
I've realized. Yeah. And so then it was like, man, if I could do this, what else can I do? And so then, ultra marathons and running is very mental. And once you realize you could do it, then you start being able to be like, I know I could do this. How far can I push this? And so I'd run a 50K or 100K, and I'd wake up and be like, all right, there's no reason to ever run that far ever again. And then for whatever reason with ultra running, you wake up that next day and you're like, I could do the next one up.
I cannot believe that.
Yeah. And so then I kind of set my sights on doing a 100-miler. And
100 miles.
And right around that time was kind of when my story was out there a bit. The recovery community knew me as this crazy runner guy, and then the running community knew me as an ultra runner guy. Okay. And so, but nobody quite knew the full story. And so Austin Marathon had asked to do an interview with me. And so that was kind of the first time I had publicly ever talked about my story.
What year are we? Do you remember?
It was probably 5-6 years ago. I'd have to look it up. What year?
That's amazing. That had to feel really good.
Yeah, it was cool. And so I did the interview, and they ended up asking me one question, and it was probably the most important question I've ever been asked. And they told me if I could go back and talk to my younger self, what would I tell him to change so maybe none of this stuff happened? And so immediately my mind starts going crazy. I'm like, oh, there's so many things I could tell myself. You've seen Back to the Future?
Oh yeah.
All I could think about is like Biff with that book to bet on everything. I'm like, man, what could I tell myself? And after I thought for a while, I came to the conclusion it was like, look, I'm very sorry for everybody that got hurt along the way, especially my family. But to be honest, I wouldn't change a thing because now I understand I had to go through everything that I've been through to be the man that I am today, and I wouldn't change that for anybody.
Right.
Like, I'm very proud to be who I am today.
Mm-hmm.
I never thought I would say that.
Wow.
And so I do this interview, and a gentleman named Lance Armstrong heard the interview. And so then he ended up reaching out. He was affiliated with the marathon that year, and so he had me on his podcast. And so that's like the first media thing I had ever done, the first time I'd been in front of a camera.
That's so cool.
I was petrified. I was so scared. And I remember going on there, and there was people in the running world and in the recovery community. They're like, "Why are you going on his podcast? You know he cheated, right? You know he cheated, right?" And I'm like, Lance Armstrong just asked me to be on his podcast.
Right.
I don't care what he did. Like,
this man is incredible.
Yeah, I've cheated too.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like nobody
Who hasn't an active addiction.
nobody's perfect.
Right.
But so I go on his podcast, and then the next thing I know, I got a phone call from a gentleman who's a director who wanted to ask me if he could shoot a film on my story.
Oh my God.
Which is the wildest phone call ever known to man.
After going on Lance Armstrong's podcast, that's the power of saying yes, don't you think?
Yes.
Yes to Austin Marathon. Oh, Lance sees it. Yes to Lance's podcast. And I'm sure you saw one of my favorite people on this earth, JB Hager. He is one of the producers of that podcast. Okay. And then yes to, well, let's hear it. What did you say when the director called?
So first I thought it was a prank call.
Did you really?
Yeah, I don't get phone calls like that. You want to what? Because in my mind at the time, like, do you guys swear on here or no?
Yeah, sure.
I don't want to slip up if you don't.
We don't often, but you're fine.
Okay.
In your mind, you're like,
now I just forgot where I was going to go.
He called and you thought it was a prank call.
Oh, yeah.
You thought it was a prank.
I'm just like, I just kind of got my act together and I started running. Like, what's special about that?
Wow, okay.
Now, granted, I know running 100 miles is not like typically normal or anything like that, but there's still even to this day, there's still that imposter syndrome. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so,
is it self-doubt at all, or like what?
I think it's
feeling less than.
Do I feel worthy?
Right.
Of this? Do I feel like I deserve this? Because because I've squandered so many opportunities in my life where it's like, all right, somebody's going to pull the rug out on me pretty quick.
Yeah.
These things usually go wrong.
Sure.
And it's usually due to our own actions.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said yes, and I kept training and everything like that. And then we ended up going to Alabama. The race is called the Pinhoti 100. It goes from Alabama to Georgia. And then the documentary is called 100 Miles to Redemption. If anybody wants to check it out, it's on Amazon.
Amazon Prime, 100 Miles to Redemption.
And so we go down there, we run that race, and if you ever check out the documentary, you'll get to see the ending is pretty epic. I'm not just saying it because it's my document or the documentary about me. The director did an outstanding job, and I don't know, if you don't tear up at the end, there's something wrong, because I've seen it a million times and it still gets me. So
I am so excited.
It's really good.
We're gonna have a watch party. I've said this before, but Jordan comes home tonight. We are going to have a watch party. Cool. I'm so excited to watch it.
You guys will be on the Thursday meeting tonight.
Yeah, exactly. After the Thursday meeting. Yes. And in fact, I'm inviting a UFC fighter to that tonight.
Really? Let's go.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I want to say, like they came down and they filmed me doing this race.
Okay.
Right. And so documentary films don't usually make a ton of money. They don't get released in theaters. They're not blockbusters. And so usually it's a passionate filmmaker who believes in a story, puts his own money behind it, and then creates something. And so he did that. And, in an effort to kind of get like some excitement around the project before it was finished, they did the trailer first.
Okay.
And so they invited 200 Austin runners to come to this place, and they were going to unveil the trailer, and they wanted everybody to know. So at this point, still, most people still knew me as this, in the running world, still knew me as like this ultra runner guy, but they didn't quite know the full story.
Okay.
And so we go pack into this place. There's a big screen there. Everybody's packed in, lights go off. And for 3 minutes, now this trailer plays. And within 3 minutes, all these people now know that I'm a 4-time felon, heroin addict, kicked out of the military, homeless, family won't talk to him.
Yeah.
And then the lights come back on.
Oh, no.
And the only like description I can give, it's like mom pushed you out the front door on your first day of school naked and then just shut the door. Because I'm just standing there like, what are these people going to think of me? They're not going to want to run with me anymore. They're not going to want to talk to me.
What a vulnerable place to be.
It was nuts. And so I remember talking on the microphone for a little bit and looking out at the crowd, and everyone's just kind of looking at me. And I'm like, what are they thinking of me right now? And I just didn't know. And so, and especially, my view of the outside world or the running world, you see people running around Austin, Texas, or any city, they got their shirts off, they're in shape, they look like their life's in order.
They're running companies.
That's what I pictured.
Sure.
I get done speaking, and then the entire room converges on me. And 200 people that are not from the recovery community start telling me about childhood trauma, mental health, suicide, substance abuse, their brothers, sisters, cousins, uncle. And it literally opened the floodgates for all these people. And that right there was one of the most single-handed powerful moments of my life, because it let me know the ability and the power we have within our story. The things I was most ashamed of in this world are now the things I'm most proud of to stand in front of hundreds of people all the time and talk about. I didn't ever realize that we could take all this pain and use it to help other people.
Wow.
I didn't realize that we sitting around in these circles, used to talking about all our stuff, once we open up, it helps them open up. I always thought that we were two separate worlds. It's like the recovery community, everybody, or the addicts, everybody else. But we're a lot more alike than we are. And then you start understanding, and you see on the Thursday call or anything, like, we're all recovering from something.
Something.
For us, you know what I mean? For some people, it's food. For some people, it's sex, gambling, substance abuse, self-harm, whatever variation of it is. But there's a lot of stuff, even if it's caffeine, nicotine, all these stuff. And there's
negative self-talk.
Right. There's so many of these behaviors and stuff like that. And so I think we're a whole lot more alike than we are separate. And then the thing that gets me the most, and I'm tired of hearing about people say the stigma of addiction. I don't have a stigma in addiction. The only reason I don't feel like I have it is because I talk about it. The only reason there is a stigma is because people don't talk about it.
Right.
And so I think, you and I are coming through this sobriety kick at like the right time, because there's this whole movement of recovering out loud and people being much more open and vulnerable through social media, through podcasts. And that's where I really start seeing a difference, because now think about it. When I was young and I was in school, it was cool to go get messed up. Now in school, it's cool to be sober.
It's so true.
It's cool to not smoke.
There are so many Gen Z people that don't even drink.
Right.
They're like, no, I'm good. I saw what it did to the millennials.
Right. And so, I don't think that happens unless people start to be more outspoken. And so I think the 12-step program, people maybe misread that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Yeah, don't go around talking about other people's stuff. Don't break their anonymity. But anybody that's going to tell me to stop talking about what I'm talking about, like.
I do think it totally gets misunderstood and misinterpreted.
Yeah.
I completely agree with that but my husband, this community that I'm in with you, have all helped me come out about my own personal story and history. And this is not the space to unleash it with you, because this is your episode. But even little by little on these episodes, I'll drop nuggets. And that's literally such a relief.
Yeah.
Because I'm not hiding behind this persona. Yep. I can talk about the things that I promote and push for and support, like Into Light Project that memorializes those who've died of substance use disorder. And that came to be because it's all about breaking the stigma.
Mm-hmm.
And it was created by the families that have lost people.
Yeah.
But here's the kicker. Some states, we are doing an art exhibit in every state. Some states, like Colorado, we didn't even have the full amount of people in the exhibit because families were so afraid to tell us and tell the people in their lives that their kid died from substance use disorder. It's so sad.
Mm-hmm.
It's so sad. I experienced that with a couple people in Texas, too. Like, no, we'd like to decline because nobody knows that that's why our dad died.
But
Okay.
there's a very powerful part in the documentary where my mom is. See, I thought I always knew what I had done to my family until I saw it on the documentary. I had no idea.
What?
I thought, like my sister, for instance, I never like harmed her. I never stole from her. I never did anything. It took me seeing the film for me to see that her to talk about me not being there for when she graduated high school, when she went to prom, when she got her license, like all these big brother moments.
Yeah.
I wasn't there for those things.
Yeah.
Like that's the harm that it did. And then you start thinking about, I've conditioned my family. I've gotten sober. I've tried to get sobered countless times, countless. And every time they hear this, oh yeah, it's going to be different. It's going to be this. And then inevitably the other shoe drops. And so you've conditioned your families to be like this.
Yeah.
And so like, I thought just like, oh, I'm sober now. Everything's good. Like, no, that takes time, patience, consistency.
So much healing.
And in my world, I say accidentally, but I'm pretty sure God had a hand in it. My family had heard it all before. They're up in Ohio. I'm in Texas, and running in this really cool way gave them something to see because it was action. It wasn't me talking anymore.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so when they hear I'm running 100K out in Bandera, Texas, they're like, all right, something's a little bit different with him this time. You know what I mean? And so it's been this
running around.
Right.
He's running.
Right. And so I don't know, it ended up being this really cool bridge to getting it. I mean, it was like a battery pack in my life.
Cool.
What the running thing did for me, what community did for me, I think my biggest error in all this is, I could take a step back. I'm an addict. I'm going to throw all my eggs in one basket. And so I get out of the military, I'm diagnosed PTSD, depression, anxiety disorder, panic disorder, and a laundry list of others.
Mm-hmm.
And they slide me 15 bottles of pills, and they send me my little groups and my little therapy sessions and all that. And it was a Band-Aid. Sure. You know what I mean? It did that, but it was not a cure.
Exactly.
And so I try to go all in on the mental health route. And that doesn't, at the end of the day, I'm not happy. I'm not sober. And so then I'm like, all right, this isn't working. So let me go the spiritual route. And I hear about the 12 steps and 90 meetings in 90 days, sponsees. And so I dive headfirst into that. And over, I kept doing this because what I would find is I would trap myself in this recovery bubble because meeting makers make it.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have to be here, else you're not going to. And then anytime, or how do I say, what nobody ever impressed upon me or what I never knew to put any focus on was it's on me to build a life. Nobody let me know that this is a foundation. This isn't my life. And so I kept making it my life where every person I talked to, every event I went to, everything I lived
with that.
I lived, eat, and breathe this recovery stuff. And eventually I would just get bored, tired, angry with it because there was no like life fulfillment.
Sure.
And so then I discovered this running thing in treatment. And now all of a sudden I have a thing that lit a fire up under my ass. It makes me excited to get up out of bed every morning. It puts structure back into my life. Now I'm worried about what time I'm going to bed. I'm drinking water now. Right. I'm worried about the food I'm putting in my body. It put me in front of the greatest group of people that I've ever met in my life. They didn't care that I was tattooed. They didn't care I was a felon. They cared if I was going to show up this weekend to go run 60 miles with them. That's what they cared about.
So cool.
And so for the first time when I left treatment, I had the recovery stuff. I had my recovery people, but now I had a life.
Yeah.
I had something I was working towards. I was training for races. I had the people to do it with. We started traveling. And so for the first time in my life, like I had been to treatment 12 times before. Every time I would leave treatment, I would be scared. And the reason I think I was scared is because I knew I inevitably cut corners. There were days I wasn't feeling it, didn't quite show up, going through the motions. That last time getting involved with running, the newfound hope, it changed my experience in treatment. What I did there, the running did. And then when I was ready to leave, I was so excited and ready to leave that I've never looked back. Like I haven't had that, like, am I going to get messed up today? Like I've never had that 8 years that I've been sober.
That's incredible.
But because of falling in with these people, being around people that make me feel uncomfortable, knowing that I'm worth more than that, and like continuing to strive for that, that's what changed my life.
God, that's beautiful, Shawn. That is so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And you unlocked a lot for me for how to help guide a sponsee that I'm working with that's chronically relapsing. They need to find something outside of this world. A structure is imperative. I agree.
Yeah.
And
all I know is, I don't know about you, but I put a tremendous amount of energy into the hustle of getting high every day.
Yeah.
Right?
100%.
When I got sober, I remember sitting down in my first meeting, nothing wrong with the meeting.
Yeah.
But I just remember looking around and I was like, this is it? I got to do this for the rest of my life? The program is very hopeful. My outlook on being tethered to that for the rest of my life wasn't hopeful.
Totally.
But I don't know about you, but I've been in meetings where I see somebody that's 10 years sober and they got a energy drink in one hand, a cigarette hanging out of their mouth, they're overweight, and they're telling me everything that's wrong with what I'm doing. And I'm replacing one addiction for another and this or that. And the other thing is like, man, like if that's what I got to look forward to at 10 years, like, I don't know if we can keep having this conversation. And so I think, everybody you end up finding what works for you.
Yeah.
But I needed to understand that it's on me to go out and find that life. It's on me to understand that recovery, the program is a tool. It's not the end all be all.
Yeah.
And so even with running, I tried to throw my eggs into the running basket for a while where like, this is it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Well, then you start thinking, like, what if I get injured? Now this is gone. You better have something to fall back on. So then coming to the understanding, it's like, oh, wait a minute. Like none of these treatment, not a cure-all. Running, not a cure-all. The program, not a cure-all. But all of these together in building your program, like I addressed the mental health, I addressed the spiritual health, and then I addressed my physical health. It put all the pieces of the puzzle together for me. And like, that's how I go now. It's not just this one thing. Let me try this and maybe that'll get me sober. Let me try this.
Totally.
And then it's like, what are you willing to keep doing? Are you willing to go to therapy? Are you willing to have a coach? Are you willing to this, that, and the other?
That's so cool, Shawn, because you're realizing true health by pulling all the puzzle pieces together. I think our audience will be able to take a lot away from that. Just whatever they're going through. Can't make a decision on their future. Can't make a decision. Can't get out of bed. Are depressed. Like all of the above. They can pull beautiful nuggets from your story.
Thank you. The biggest part, and I don't know if we're coming up on time.
Coming up on time, yeah.
The biggest part of what I want to leave people, and my biggest error throughout my whole life was the power of the people I choose to surround myself with. Because at the end of the day, it is a choice. You don't have to be around anybody. And so I would always say my MO is to hang around the funny guys. I made my MO to hang around people that make me uncomfortable. But at the end of the day, where I'm at in life now, like I hold myself to a standard. Mm-hmm. I hold everybody else in my life to a standard. I have clear goals that I'm working towards. If you are in my life and you are not helping me work towards these goals, I'm sorry. I wish the best for you, but I don't have time. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like now I understand the value of my time. Mm-hmm. And so if you can really identify your Super Bowl, the most important thing in your life, and you know what you're working towards, I'm not saying selfishly, they have to support that. Mm-hmm. If they're a hindrance on your life, like you need to, anybody that's been an athlete knows what it's like to be in a bad locker room or to be in a classroom where there's that one bad apple that spoils the bunch.
Right.
That's your life.
Yeah.
If you have somebody that in your life, it is your job to cut them out.
Yes.
And so if you're not willing to do that, then you're not willing to really get to where you really want to go.
Exactly. Reach that Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Thank you that's a perfect note to end because that's actionable solution.
Yes.
Thank you, Shawn.
Of course.
Okay. We're going to look and watch the podcast, not podcast. We'll find the podcast, I Am Redemption, on all platforms, correct? Yeah. And
go to YouTube. That's where the video is.
Yeah.
Looks cool.
Yes. And then the documentary is on Amazon Prime. Mm-hmm. 100 Miles to Redemption.
Yes.
Cool.
Yep.
Thank you, Shawn.
Of course, my pleasure.
All right, everybody, catch Shawn on all the socials. We'll put it in the show notes.
Let's go. Appreciate you.
Thanks, y'all. So grateful to Shawn for sharing his authentic truth. What a privilege to hear his journey with such clarity, strength, and heart. Shawn's story reminds us that our toughest scars can become our greatest tools, and that choosing life, community, and growth is always worth it. For all of you listening, if you're wrestling with trauma, addiction, or doubt, remember you're not alone. It's never too late to take one more step toward redemption. Find Shawn on I Am Redemption podcast, available on all podcast platforms and YouTube. And check out the documentary 100 Miles to Redemption on Amazon Prime. The links are all in the show notes. Thank you for listening. I'm Natalie Payton Newman. If this episode resonated with you in any way, please take a second to give us a review and subscribe so you don't miss any episodes. Your feedback helps us reach more listeners. Until next time, keep exploring the uncharted and never be afraid to be your authentic self. Remember, there's only one you.